You say it's not a shift in policy, and to the charge that by even abstaining, because normally there may be some attempt at the Security Council or the UN overall to condemn Israel every so often for whatever reason, and the U.S. usually stands up and vetoes those resolutions. Here now, for the first time in a while, the United States is at least abstaining and allowing it to go through. So the perception broadly is that the U.S. has no longer got Israel's back when it comes to conversations like this.
The ones we vetoed didn't condemn Hamas. This one didn't condemn Hamas, which is why we couldn't support it. But we didn't veto it because, in general, unlike previous resolutions, this one did fairly capture what has been our consistent policy, which is linking a hostage deal and the release of those men and women with, of course, a temporary ceasefire.
There are U.S. officials today saying Netanyahu's acting this way because he's facing some domestic political pressure. There's domestic political issues going on. Aren't there also domestic political pressures facing President Biden? And that's part of the reason why y'all are allowing this to happen today?
I can't speak for
members of the Democratic Party saying he's doing this wrong. You got the general public suggesting his support for Israel is misplaced. Is that part of why this is going through?
No, absolutely not.
John, on this resolution that the U.S. abstained to today, that was within the power of the United States to block, the Prime Minister said it gives Hamas hope the international pressure will allow them to accept a ceasefire without the release of our hostages. Is he wrong?
Yes.
Does the U.S. still have leverage to change language of future resolutions now that this language without the Hamas component has been put into place?
Well, let's see. I mean, there's just voted on this non-binding resolution today. I don't know of additional text that's coming, but we'll take each one in turn.
You made a point throughout the briefing about mentioning that this was a non-binding resolution that the U.S. abstained on. Last week's resolution that the U.S. brought forward, was that binding or non-binding?
I have to get an answer for you and go back on that.
You don't know that answer?
I don't have that answer for you, but I'll take the question and I'll get back to you.
And if it was binding or non-binding, why would it matter? Why would that matter? Why is that important in terms of that resolution that the U.S. put forward last week?
Well, let me get an answer for you, and then I'll answer the second one as well.
Okay, and then one additional thing. With the resolution that the U.S. put forward last week, why couldn't the U.S. have put that same resolution forward a week before or a month before?
Because we were working with previous texts that previous countries were putting forward to try to get them into a better place. You know, it wasn't like, you know, it's not like y'all don't, this language doesn't just get cooked up and thrown onto the Security Council floor in a matter of 30 minutes. It's usually worked over time. And we were working with the authors and other countries to try to get the language into a better place. And when we couldn't, we were left with no alternative but to veto. In this case, we chose to abstain because it didn't mention anything about Hamas, but yet because it did reflect our policy view that a hostage deal has to be linked to a ceasefire.